All right, so think about this idea that life is not about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. How can you create yourself to fit the needs of society? And so let me give you a bit of the overview of where this project came from and why we're doing it. The education system is changing, and they've spent many, many years consulting on this to try to make education more relevant to today's society, because it really lost its relevance over the years. And this was a multi-year consultation with the biggest companies in the world and educators and experts and everything. And what's happening now is that learning is becoming more flexible. It's becoming more student-centered. I'm really sorry that you're graduating this year because you miss it. Although when you go up to post-secondary, they are also making some of these changes. And you'll see, it's going to be less about somebody saying, you need to learn this, this, and that, and us saying, okay, so what is it that you want to learn? What is it that you want to do? And this is more of the focus now. So it opens it up for an opportunity to have more meaningful learning. And it's based on you, focused on you and what you want and how you want to develop. So in this project, then many things that I want you to be able to get out of it. Some of those things, the ability to be a lifelong learner. Because like I said, in this new world, you need to be able to create yourself. So how do you be a lifelong learner so that you're constantly creating and recreating yourself? Be resourceful. Know where to go for the resources you need to learn what you need to learn. Live your best life. Fail and learn from failure. How do you fail? You fail because you've taken a risk. And only when you take risks do you develop yourself as a person. So that's really important. I want you to be confident and be aware of your strengths, be aware of your deficits, and be aware that you can make your deficits turn into strengths. And don't be afraid to dive into the things that really make your heart sing. Sometimes we hold ourselves back. We say, this is not relevant enough, this is not important enough, I don't have time for this. But those are the things that are going to carry you through as you graduate and go to post-secondary and figure out your place in the world. It's how do you develop those things that you're really passionate about. Take challenges head on. Share your successes and struggles. Be proud of yourself. You're going to do that through this. You're going to be able to have a moment to share and be proud. And then develop your core competencies as well, which are based on what companies told us they were looking for in their employees. Core competencies is not a construct that teachers came up with. It is based on the real world and what they said, hey, these people coming into the real world need to have these skills. That's what the core competencies are. So if you can have examples of each of those, you are ahead of the game and you are ready for your interview, you're ready for your post-secondary application and everything. The transition plan and Capstone Project are required for graduation. And I know just by saying that, you shut down, right? You go, you're making me do something, therefore I hate it. So I hope that by the end of it, I change your mind a little bit and you feel like, okay, no, this is something exciting to do and I will enjoy this. Look at this stat. 65% of the kids entering school this year will step into a career that doesn't even exist. That's insane to think of that. But if you think about the last 10 or 15 years already, there's so many careers that have come up that did not exist 10 or 15 years ago. If I knew that I could take a picture of my outfit in the morning and post it on social media and someone would pay me for that, holy moly's, that opens up a whole new world about, like, these are jobs that did not exist. YouTubers, how many of you subscribe to YouTube channels? You are watching people and they are making money from you watching them on YouTube. So incredible things, especially with technology and the changes in technology, new positions are coming up all of the time. This idea that careers may require a very different skill set in just a few years from now. What that means is, think of the occupation of doctor. We kind of can pinpoint right now what kind of skills does a doctor need. Well, they need this, 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 and that. But in 5 or 10 years from now, things are going to be changing so rapidly that we actually can't even predict in this, what we call stable career, what kind of skills that person's going to need. Think about how technology is developing, what we're able to do in the medical world with that the doctor's no longer going to be asked to do. Their role is going to change. Parts of it are going to be emphasized, parts of it are going to be eliminated. We can't predict that. We cannot predict what these rules are going to look like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Therefore, we focus on the skills. and we focus on your abilities and what you can do. So the ability to gain new knowledge is actually more important than the knowledge itself. So your skill set to be able to recreate yourself is more important than you holding knowledge. We don't need to hold knowledge anymore. We've got computers that do that for us. So what skills can you develop that will do that? And this is crazy, 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been invented today. You know what that means? 2030 is not that far from now. It means that you guys are the pioneers of these new careers. You guys are gonna come out of your training, out of your experiences and go, well, this is a void in the world and I'm gonna figure out how to fill it and I'm gonna create this thing. So it's kind of scary, but it's kind of exciting at the same time. The biggest companies in the world, I'll tell you, they don't care about your 2D transcripts. They don't care if you have straight A's. So if you go into an interview and one person comes in saying, I did the program at the best school in the world, I got straight A's, and the other person comes in and says, you know what? I got kicked out of post-secondary school, but when I got kicked out, I had some time. So I got together with some other guys and we created this startup company and I've got 100,000 followers in over a couple of months. So guess who's gonna get hired? The person who can do something, who can show that they can do something. So remember that, and experience is always more important. What can you do? Ask the question. With this project, I want you to be able to answer this question super easy. What can I do? Well, actually, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. And this is just the beginning of it. So let's take a look at the project in front of you. The front part is just information. The bottom part, it tells you where you can go for more resources and information. So the Moscrop website, we post a lot of things on there, resources. If you lose this or any other assignments, you can go there and download it again. There are links to videos, etc. There are ways to stay connected. So please make sure you have the Moscrop app. You're subscribed to the right classes, grade 12 all and grad transitions. Make sure that you, if you have a Facebook page, that you are on the grad Facebook account group, grad 2019. All of those things, okay? Turn to the next page. This is the capstone overview, and it's broken up into 3 modules. So it's just fleshed out in this a little bit more, just to give you an overview. Because sometimes when we're getting into something, it's really better to know what the whole thing is going to kind of look like before getting into the details of it. So 3 modules. The first module is the proposal and the capstone exploration phase. It's a 10 to 15 hour commitment over the next 5 months. The progress report and the transition plan, that's the second module. And the third module is the presentation, which will be in April. Okay, so turn to the next page. This is your overview of module 1. The overview of what module 2 is going to look like, and the overview of what the presentation or module 3 will look like. So it's there for you to think ahead and understand the whole process. But we are going to focus on module 1, which is page 6. And on page 6, it tells you where the due date of the proposal is, and it tells you how to submit it. How do you submit it? Online. So you're going to submit online through Office 365. So it's really important that you can log on to your Office 365 account properly and you don't have any problems, okay? The career exploration is the experiential learning. It's different than the classroom learning. It's not you sitting in a classroom and someone saying, you need to learn this and you need to learn that. It's you going out and experiencing things and developing the answers to the question of what can you do. There's lots of different ways you can do it. So the overall view of the entire thing is this. You're going to choose a topic, which is going to be hopefully an area of interest or passion for you. You're going to take that and you're going to set some goals for yourself. What is it I want to achieve through this? And then you're going to explore it. And you're going to reflect along the way. You're going to have a mentor, which I'll talk about, who's going to hopefully guide you through that. You're going to document your journey. You're going to collect the evidence of your learning over the 5 months, and you're going to put it together in a representation of what you learned. In January, you're going to submit to me where you're at in terms of making decisions for post-graduation, what that's going to look like. So if you're going to post-secondary school, maybe you're going into the world of work, maybe you are volunteering, maybe you're taking a gap year and you're traveling the world. Whatever your transition plans are good as long as they're unique to you and they make sense to you. So I urge you not to follow the pack and do what you think you're supposed to do. Look inwards and say, hey, what is it I need at this point in time? And of course, I know there's also family requests and restraints along that as well, but I want you to not feel like there's anything you're supposed to do in that. So you create a representation of what you have learned, and you take that representation to your presentation in April, and that's when you present it to a small group of people, teachers and staff, a couple of your peers that are also going to be presenting, and whoever you invite to that presentation. Okay, so that's the overview of the entire thing that you're doing. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of some, actually do I have time? Yeah, I'm going to show you some examples of some senior projects in an American school that are similar to the idea of what you're doing. These probably are looking more like passion projects, whereas you have a variety of things that you can do, but it's still very flexible. This gives you an idea of how deeply personal your capstone is going to be. It's going to be about you and what your interests are. I might need to turn the volume up.
Every week or so, I would cook a recipe and take pictures of the food that I cook, and then I put it all together in the cookbook. And if there was something about the recipe that I didn't like, I would edit it or change around the words, and yeah, that's that. It was very fun. I got to eat a lot of food. It was really delicious, and yeah, I learned a lot about cooking, and I now feel very comfortable cooking in the kitchen.
Hi, my name is Sagan Medved, and I started a badminton club this year for our school. I started because I really love the sport, and in our gym class we only have a few classes, and we were able to play it. And it's a sport where almost anyone can play, so I organized the whole event, and every week we meet 2 times and we play badminton. It's really fun. Yes, a lot of students come. We have mostly juniors and seniors, but even today we had some freshmen join. We either play just volleying or we do matches in which we count the scores, and I look forward to making it more competitive too, for people who take it a lot more seriously.
Awesome, thank you very much. What is your name? My name is Sebastian Grilka. My project was learning how to drive on a racetrack like a professional. It's a lot more intense and stressful, but it's also a lot more fun.
What did you learn from it?
Well, a lot of it was actually just learning physics of how to handle the car. And there's also a lot of it's learning how to push your limits and know your limits of you and the car in order to get the best possible time.
I'm Madison Roberts.
Alexis Harris.
For our senior project, we constructed a video of the events of our senior year, and we put it all together for the students to buy once it's finished.
It's not finished yet. We got to get prom in it, and then we're hoping to present it at graduation. And if not, then we're going to present it in an X block at school.
Selling this slideshow?
We are selling it. We are going to sell it for $10, and half of the profit will be going to Project Graduation.
Zach, I did straight piped exhaust, and I put 2 12-inch kicker subwoofers in the back of my car.
Awesome. Let's hear it.
The best part is his mom is the first person in the corner of the It's much better when the volume is louder.
What's supposed to be future? That won't work.
I'm going to pause it there. You can watch the rest of the video, and yeah, it gives you an idea of how personal projects can be and how it's really based on your interests. And we're really flexible this year, especially because you guys are a transition year for what ideas you have and how you want to develop your capstone project. These ones have a lot of interesting aspects to them. So the girls that did the video, it wasn't just a slideshow of the grad year. It was something that turned into like marketing and selling, and then donating profits back to an organization. So there's a whole lot of aspects to them. Even the gentleman who did the badminton, it's about event planning, it's about marketing that event and getting people out and creating community and all of those kinds of things as well. There's a couple of some videos that you can watch as well. Basically, we're going to start the thinking process right now, and hopefully by the time the bell rings, I'll have you thinking about what kind of capstone you can do, and you'll feel confident that you know how to design your capstone project. So you should have your pencil out, and the first thing we're going to do is the beginning of the proposal, which is number 1, is start to think about what are the things that you're interested in. What are the things that sing to you? What are your passions? What are the areas of career life exploration that you're hoping to pursue? Notice when we talk about careers, I say career life, because we know that careers is not so much a linear thing anymore. It's not necessarily you pursuing a career. It's you pursuing the life that you want and the life that makes you happy. And that encompasses a whole bunch of things, not just the career of your interest, okay? So up here, we're brainstorming, or on a piece of blank paper, which I suggest for now. We're gonna quickly work through this process. So go ahead and get your pencil out. Start making notes about what it is you're interested in. So here are some ideas. Maybe you're interested in art, or social justice, or science, or cars, dance. Maybe it's helping people, or skateboarding, or sports, fitness, math, creative writing, robotics and technology. What is it that you're interested in? And just make a list. And you might have 1 or 2 things on there. You might have 10 to 15 things on there. We're all different. We all have a variety of interests. One could be at one end of the spectrum, and the other one could be at the end of the spectrum. Business and art. Very different, but that's okay. So write down some of your ideas of what those interest areas are, or the career areas that you're interested in exploring. Some examples, if you want to be very general in this spot, you can say things like, I like working with people, and I know that the career that I pursue is going to be working with people. Or you can be very specific. I want to be an engineer, civil engineer. It can be very general, it can be very specific. Yeah, so the next slide is just what future career areas are you thinking about? So also put those down. And that's going to be a starting point for you, and you're going to continue brainstorming at home, but let's start there. And eventually what you're going to do is you're going to narrow it down to one area. So you may have multiple areas of interest, but for the sake of your capstone, what is it you want to focus on? You're going to have to eventually choose one. For now, we're going to keep brainstorming in general just to keep your ideas open. So my example for you is when I was in high school, I was interested in a multitude of careers, but the 2 main ones I was thinking of were both acting and teaching. And don't be intimidated by the fact that I am a teacher now, and I thought about that in high school. It was one of the things I had thought about. So for my capstone, I'm going to need to decide which one I want to focus on eventually. But for now, what I want you to do is to brainstorm all of the things that you are interested in right now. What are those things that if you didn't have to do any of the work that we're making you do in school, what would you be focusing your time on? Aha, I see some dreamy eyes. Yeah, like aha. Start writing those things down. Use these sentences as starters. I want to learn. I want to be able to. I want to get really good at. I want to understand. I want to develop. I want to prepare for. I want to improve. I'm going to add to this list. I want to experience. So what are those things that you want to do? Here's an example list just to get you thinking of the different things. Like, I want to learn photography skills. I want to affect positive change in my community, in the world. I want to design my own website or change the brakes in my car. I want to develop my confidence in talking to people. I want to write engaging stories. I want to improve my tap-down skills and travel and explore the world and understand more about what engineering options there are. Learn about careers using math or learn to code using Java. Just make a list and don't stop writing. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that right now. Go for it. And the trick is to keep your pen on the paper, and even if you get stuck, try to use these sentences as starters to get you going, but not to stop writing. Don't judge yourself. Don't put judgment on the things that you're writing. You say, oh, that's stupid, I'm not putting that down. But I'm going to show you what to do with those ideas once you've kind of chosen some that really speak to you. So on your list right now, just start 2 or 3. Put a star beside 2 or 3 of them. that you're most excited about, that you're most willing to explore at this time or motivated to do? What are those 2? Now, once you have those 2, we're going to turn them into SMART goals. So for your capstone, you have to be able to set a SMART goal. What is a SMART goal? A SMART goal is a goal that is specific, manageable, attainable, realistic, and tangible. So that goal has to be something you can achieve. It's not a long-term goal. It might be a short-term goal that leads to a long-term goal, but you have 5 months to work on your capstone project. So whatever goal you set has to be attainable within the 5 months. So let me give you some examples. So if I were to choose that my goal was to learn to code with JavaScript, how do I make that more specific and measurable? JavaScript is a big thing. I could probably spend years learning what there is to know about that. I need to know what I want to do with it and what level I want to get to make it measurable for me to say, yes, I achieved my goal or not, or I have more ways to go. So I changed that to a SMART goal. I want to be able to create a basic game using JavaScript. Now I know what I want to use Java to do, and I know I have a measurable amount, a basic game. So for me, I know what it means to create a basic game. That's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable within the next 5 months, okay? And this is somebody speaking that I have never coded before. But probably if you have coding experience, you might be able to do more than that in the next 5 months. It's very individual and it's based on you, so make sure it's challenging yet manageable. So spend some time turning 2 of those goals into specific goals. Here's another example. I want to learn about acting becomes I want to improve my skills and learn how to be successful when auditioning for roles, a focus on auditioning. I did a 4-year theater program at SFU. I majored in theater. And I learned a lot about acting. And there's more. The 4 years, there's more. I could be in acting classes for the rest of my life. So I can't learn about acting as a whole. I have to specify what it is, what piece of that do I want to focus on in the next 5 months. And I chose auditioning. I can do this. Okay, so create a SMART goal based on 1 or 2 of your starred things there. How do you make it specific and measurable? Who needs help? Make sure when you look at it, you go, okay, I can see a focus. I can see where I can start with this goal. If you're like, well, I don't really know where I would start with that, then maybe it's still too big. So if you want to learn about criminology, holy molis, there's lots to learn about criminology. Maybe it's one thing you want to look more into. I want to examine the criminal mind of a murderer. One aspect. That's more psychology, but if you want to be a doctor in the future, what's something you can do now to start your understanding of the skills and things and knowledge you need to know to become a doctor? What's one aspect of it? I want to learn about owning your own medical practice. I want to learn more about the role of a pediatrician. I want to learn more about what could I do if I wanted to be a doctor? What are my options? And then the next step is even harder. It's creating an essential question. So what is an essential question? An essential question is the driving force behind your capstone. The thing that propels you to learn more, that gives you a direction for what knowledge and information you want to research and gain. It encourages more explanation, it encourages deeper thinking rather than just the surface level thinking. But remember, you want to focus on the depth of what you're doing versus the breadth of it. You don't want to try to do it all. You want to try to look at a piece of it and look really deeply at that piece. Or sentence starters. So when you're thinking about an essential question, you can start your sentence with any of these. Which one, what if, how, should, why, which techniques. Here are some examples. So if your goal is I want to be able to code a basic game in Java, my question is what are the basic tools I need in order to learn Java, right? Oh, that's my essential question. Sorry, we get there. So my question is focusing me on what information do I need to get to be able to do what I want to do. The information is I need to find out, well, what are the basic skills that I need to be able to do this. Now I can talk to experts, I can look up information on the internet, and then I can apply what I learned to creating the basic game. Remember, this is all in a bigger context, so try to keep relating it back to the bigger context, which is your interests in the future. I'm interested in being a game designer, so I want to get ahead of developing my skills, and that's why this person is doing this capstone. What is that?
It's Google.
Yeah, it looks like a diffuser. It's Google Home. Do you have one? No, does anyone have a Google Home? Okay, so what do you ask Google Home? You tell it to play music, mostly, yeah? Can you ask it questions?
Yeah.
What kind of questions do you ask Google Home? Turn off the lights, yeah, so in action. What else do you ask Google Home? Facts, yeah, like, hey, Google Home, what's the weather? Google Home, what is the sports score on the latest hockey game? Google Home, what is the most spoken language in the world? Questions that Google Home can answer, right? Google Home has an answer for these questions. So when you think about your essential question, you don't want Google Home or Google to be able to give you the answer. So when you're creating your question, it should be something that's big enough that you need to grapple with. Look at a variety of sources and pull together that information and interpret it yourself. Google should not have the answer. Here's my question for my acting auditioning project. What makes an audition a successful one? So when I ask this question, I go, okay, now I know what I need to go out and learn. I need to go and research. Well, what strategies are out there for making a good audition? And then I'm putting it together. Yes, I can Google, I can find information, but I'm going to have to put it together in my own way based on all of the stuff that I'm learning. So that's the next part. Create that essential question. If you get stuck, think about starting your sentence with which one. This is the hardest part. Once you've created a question, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, okay, am I interested in the answer? And if your answer is no, that's not the right question. You want to be interested and passionate about it. I did have some examples that I will put up on the Moscrop website of good questions. I don't have many here, but I will put them up. But like someone who wants to explore going into aviation, for example. Maybe their question is, what helps a wing generate lift? So it's something that they can look at and they can explore and they can research. Your question should be interesting to you, and it should help you focus your goal, not make it bigger. So if you need help, you come back and see me and we can work on it together. I don't have all the answers, but I can help you think a little bit. Once you have your goal and you have your essential question, now you have to figure out your next steps. Your next steps are to figure out your action plan. What is it you're going to do to achieve that goal that you have now set for yourself? Think about the things you can read. What can you research? What can you study, try, practice? Who can you talk to? What experts can you approach? And what can you do? The action steps are on page 9. You're brainstorming a list of them. And I've tried to break them up into 2 categories. We'll see how that works for you. I want you to think about what are the action steps that will help me know more about my topic, and what are the action steps that will help me do or get involved or have experience in that topic. So like actually doing the audition, right? Actually preparing a monologue. Those are the do things that you're physically experiencing. So I want you to have a bit of both. Now for me, here are some action steps. Reading blogs on auditioning, watching YouTube videos, or maybe I want to read a book or find an open audition and try out. There's one of the do's, right? Maybe I want to take a weekend course on auditioning. That's also an experiential thing that I am doing. Speak to an actor to ask them about the auditioning process. Or flip side that and go to the casting director and say, okay, well, what are you looking for as people audition? Maybe I could practice a monologue and perform it for someone, also would do. Audition for the school play, also would do. Intern for a company that represents actors, also an experiential thing that I can do. So this is a great list of stuff. I could do it all in 5 months, right? No way, man, I'm in grade 12. I got scholarship applications. I got post-secondary schools to apply to. I've got difficult courses that I'm battling with here and lots going on. No, I can't do all of that. I don't expect you to do all of that. I expect you to figure out for yourself what's manageable and challenging, and I ask you to choose 3 of the action steps that you brainstorm. So here's what I choose. I also have written how I'm going to document the things that I'm doing, because remember, that is part of it. So, and the other part of documentation is the action log, which is the second to last page in your assignment. So you can look at it. And the action log is where you record the things that you're doing. So my action number 1 that I've chosen, I'll write down, is reading blogs on auditioning. And I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to not lose track of the blogs that I'm reading and taking notes from. I'm going to write down what those URLs are, or what the names of the blogs are, so that I have my resource list. And the way that I'm documenting it is by taking notes. I'm taking notes on what I'm learning, so then I can put all my knowledge and notes together in the end. The second thing I'm going to do, my second action step, is going to be interviewing an actor to ask them about the process. And then maybe how I document that, well, I've got my list of questions that I've documented, and maybe I want to videotape the interview so that I have that documented. And then my third thing that I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to find an open audition to try out. That's my action step number 3. And then I'm going to reflect on my experience in that open audition. And I'm going to record every time I spend some time on each of these action steps, and I'm looking for about 10 to 15 hours minimum requirement. Mind you, the real requirement is 30 hours. But for the sake of the fact that you guys are in a transition year, we're doing 10 to 15. Okay, so a manageable small amount. All right, so I've got my stuff, and remember, these are my research pieces, and this is my do piece. You need to have the actual experience action step within there. So figure it out what it is you're actually doing. So with JavaScript, you're actually creating a game, right? That's the experiential part. All right. So you'll brainstorm all your action steps. You'll choose your 3. You'll figure out how am I going to document those things. And then these are also some ways you can do action towards it. Think about volunteering in the organization that does whatever it is you're interested in, or doing an internship somewhere, some work experience. You could be learning through your employment. You could be most people will be doing a project focused on an area of deep interest. It'll look a little bit different for everyone. Once you've planned your action steps, you have to set a timeline and a plan for yourself. It's really easy to forget about your goals if you don't have a timeline set for yourself and you don't know when you're supposed to finish this and when you're supposed to achieve that. It's kind of always like well, I'll do it later, I'll do it next time kind of thing. And then time goes by you, and then you forget, and then time is caught up. So set your timeline. How often will you work on it? And by when? Let me give you an example. Well, you've got November, December, January, February, March, and then your presentation's in April. But you want to have been able to pull it together for your representation before then. April 18th, keep that date in the back of your mind. Good question. The question is April 18th the date everybody is doing their capstone presentations? And the answer is yes. So it's school-wide, and all the teachers are involved as well. And yes, you will all do your presentation. So I told you who you would be presenting to? I mentioned that. So you'll be presenting to at least 1 or 2 teachers in the school, possibly a staff member, as well as your peers. So about 3 or 4 of your peers. And then anyone who's been invited to the school to attend, you can invite anyone important to you. Because this is a celebration of learning, it means that you can invite anyone you want to come celebrate with you. Okay, so it could be a group of 5, 6, maybe 10 at the most. Okay, and it's funny because kids from last year, when I told them they'd be doing oral presentations, they all freaked out. This year, you guys are honestly pretty calm about it. Last year, they were freaking out, and all throughout, and then finally the day came, and they looked fantastic, and they were prepared, and they were excited, and they came into their classrooms, and they saw the audience of 5 people, and they were like, this is not enough. I need more people. I want more people to hear what I've done. So it was really funny by the end of it that this sense of like, I'm proud of what I did, and I want to share it with more people, and hopefully you feel that too. So set your timeline and what that's going to look like. So here's the example I'm trying to show you. Okay, so basically I said my first one is reading blogs on auditioning and compiling a list of advice. I'm going to do that 1 hour every 2 weeks for 3 or 4 hours. Doesn't sound so bad, right? 1 hour of research every 2 weeks. So then I'm going to compile that information. My next goal, timeline, is that I need right away I need to start asking my friends and family for who they know, what actors do you know that have experience in auditioning, because I need to try to make that connection. But maybe I'm going to compile my list of questions and my interview questions. My goal is to have it done by January, and then by February, that's when I'll have that interview completed. That's that. My last one is to do an open audition. So I need to find one. So in February is my research phase. I'm researching what open auditions there are, what can I attend, and by March, I've done the audition. Does that sound doable? I'm gonna learn a lot from that. It's not a terrible amount of effort in time that I have to put into it, but I know when I'm gonna have things done, and I've broken the 3 things up. So I'm not feeling overwhelmed by everything all at once either. So that's kind of what I need you to do with yours. Documentation, you can take pictures of what you're doing. You can write reflections. You can do journals and charts if you're doing an experiment of some sort. You can take film, any of those kinds of things. But the idea is you want to have things to be able to use to pull together for that representation in the end. So before I talk about the representation, let's talk about the mentor. The last page is your mentor guide. Last year I tried to mentor 300 grade 12 students. It did not work.
300.
There's 300 this year too, but yeah, there's 300 grade 12s, and we did this capstone, and I was like, I'm gonna mentor you all through your capstone. No, it's too many.
Too many.
I can't get to know each of you well enough and know your projects well enough to give you the proper support. So I need you to reach outside and to be looking for people that can help support you. What do you need from them? Well, you need someone who's kind of knowledgeable in the area that you're looking at, and someone who is somewhat accessible. So that person, it could be one-on-one, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe they're across the country and you communicate by phone or by email. And I'm asking you to meet with that mentor 3 times throughout your capstone process, 3 times. And the hopes is that they're mentoring you on your capstone, giving you ideas, helping you to focus it, and giving you suggestions on how to make it better, but also that they're mentoring you in life. That you can say to them, this is what I want to do, and I'm not really sure what school I want to go to. What suggestions do you have? That they can mentor you in that. And this is not an unknown idea. Mentorship in the community is huge. Senior employees mentoring younger employees, and the younger ones are going, wow, that was powerful. I want to mentor someone. Who wants me to mentor you? So if you have troubles looking in your immediate community for someone who could be your mentor, reach out into the community and find someone there. And I don't think you'll be hard pressed to find people excited to do that. Of course, you need to know what you want from your mentor, and you're going to explain to them, this is what I'm doing for school, and this is what I need from you, and we're asked to meet 3 times. Be hard pressed to find someone who would go say no to a commitment of 3 times in the next 5 months. It's not that big. If you can meet more with your mentor, fantastic. You're just going to put a little reflection on what you talked about that day and get them to sign each time you do meet with them, and this will get handed in at the end, okay? So, girls, there is a YWCA mentorship program. It's exactly that. You sign up, you tell them what you're interested in the future, they find a woman in the career that you're interested in, they match you up. It's amazing. And that person mentors you. So if you want to look into that, come and see me right away, and we'll get you applied to that program. Applications are closing soon, so don't wait. All right, So then you think about all of the things you learned through your capstone and you've gathered all this documentation. Now you have to pull it together in some kind of representation. How are you going to show us what you learned and what you did? So the example I gave of the basic coding a game in JavaScript, the process maybe is to research online, is to ask an expert, is to take a weekend course, and all of those things together help me actually create my basic game. My representation that I'm going to show is the game I created. What I create is my it shows you this is what I've learned and this is what I can do. Another example, if my goal was I want to make a positive change in my community through volunteerism, my question might be something like, how can awareness be heightened for the needs of the homeless? That's helping me focus, right? I'm focusing now on one aspect of the community, not the whole dang community. Maybe my question is more about me. What effect can I have on homelessness? And if you turn it back to yourself and you examine what effect I have or how does that affect me in your capstone, that adds that other element of it for sure. The bigger context, I'm interested in a career in humanitarianism, global politics, or simply just helping people. And my representation, maybe it's a voiceover slideshow. So I show pictures of me when I was volunteering and pictures of me with the people I was helping. I interview them and I put information and talk about what effect I believe I had through what I did. Okay, another example for representation. Who am I? Where am I headed? This could be your capstone. If you're lost and confused and you need guidance, you should be spending time figuring some stuff out, right? So what are the best options for me, for schools, programs, careers? So maybe that's where you're hitting your research. The big picture, I'm not sure what I'd like to pursue for my career life exploration or for my future. I don't know what I want to do. So maybe this is what you want to focus on. And what kind of representation at the end? Well, let's just say your action steps have to do with you exploring your interests, through your experiences. What is it you're learning about yourself? What is it you're learning about what you want and need for your future? And the representation is maybe, am I calling it right? Is it a vlog? The vlog where you talk to the camera and you reflect? Yeah, you create a vlog that is a reflection, maybe weekly or every couple of weeks, about the stuff that you've done, your experiences, and what you're learning about yourself from that. And maybe putting that together is your representation. So be creative when it comes to your representation. Mine, for my audition project, is going to be a how-to video. So I'm going to compile all the strategies I learned. I'm going to do, this is a how-to, a do's and don't video for auditioning, and it's going to feature me auditioning for my mock interview in that video, and that's how I'm going to show what I learned from my project. So be creative, as I said. You could do an animated video, an exhibit. You could write an oral report, do storytelling, spoken word, an informative video, a slideshow, photos. The actual final product of what you've created could also be the representation. So, don't know how to get creative? How about the end of your proposal, which I believe is page 12. You've got this diagram. If you can't figure out how to be creative, here's 101 ways to show what you know in your representation. Now, when you add creativity to what you do, you move it to a different part of your brain that helps ingrain it in you or make it a deeper point of learning. That's why we try to be creative with the things that we do. All right, so there are some examples online on this PowerPoint of different kinds of career explorations of all different types. This one is somebody who interns with the school drama department to do lighting for the school play. This one, top one's about two students that work together because they were excited by their environmental 11 class when they talked about water quality. So they want to focus on local beaches and the water quality there. So they get hooked up with an organization that does that, and they do field work. And that's how they learn to do their capstone. The one down there is someone who has a part-time job, and she wants to explore customer service and expanding her customer service skills, and she does that through her job. The gentleman up top is someone who's like, I don't really know what to do for my career life exploration. So he finds a mentor, and the mentor is talking to him, okay, well, what can we do? Let's generate some ideas. And they say, well, you play soccer. Why don't you volunteer with your soccer coach and learn through that? And then there's all sorts of things. So looking at cultural heritage and traditions. This young man is doing First Peoples community carving techniques. And so working with his community and his band to learn carving techniques. It could be anything. Eventually you're going to represent that, you're going to present that in your oral presentation, which you share what you did. You celebrate where you've come from, and you talk about where you're going. The criteria for what your project can be is in here. Basically, please make sure whatever you do because you're interested in it. This is something you want to know more about, you want to do. This is a huge opportunity. Do not waste it. Develop yourself, create yourself, show us that you know how to learn new skills, learn new knowledge, and then keep up with the times in the future, okay? So make sure that it is manageable yet challenging, and only you can say for you personally what that's going to look like, and it will look different for different people. Manageable, it's not going to drive you crazy, yet challenging enough that you're stretching yourself, okay? And if you're stuck, like I said, the who am I and where am I headed topic is a good one, and it's relevant to what you need. So, can you work with other people? Yeah, you can. What's the number one skill looked for in big companies? Yeah, your ability to network, your ability to work in a team, right? Teamwork. So yeah, if you have a passion area that's similar to someone you know and you guys want to work in a partnership, fantastic. But first come and see me together and let's talk about what that might look like and make sure that it actually makes sense, okay? But you both will be doing a 10 to 15 hour requirement each. Make sure it's meaningful, I said that. Your first steps is to find a mentor. Start asking around and looking for who this is going to be as you develop your proposal and what it is you want to do. You're going to submit your proposal by November 14th online, and then start your journey. Go out there, start filling out your action log, start researching, make sure your timeline is clear to you so that you can get going on that. I am here for support. I do want to hear from you. I do want to see you. I want to know what you're doing. I want to help if I can. I want to hear the successes and the challenges throughout it all. Please come and see me. Miss Callister's in the library. She has resources she can direct you to help you learn information about what it is you're trying to learn. And then in December, we meet again. We talk about Module 2, the transition plan piece, where we are thinking about what post-graduation is going to look like, right? The career fair again, November 7th. Can you write that down? Make sure you put that in your phone or on your calendar. It's collaboration time.
What's your call?
Yeah, do you usually go to collab or do you accidentally sleep in? You go, right? Hopefully, good. So don't miss that November 7th career fair. Make sure your friends know about it too. It is a huge opportunity. Who went last year in their grade 11 year? We had some grade 11s that were able to. Yeah. So we'll have a whole bunch of new people as well as some of the people who were here last year as well. You can reconnect with and learn more from that. Core competencies. In future, kids will need to focus on all of them for this project, but for this year, we are specifically focusing on the personal awareness and responsibility core competency. I want you guys to really dive into that idea of being a lifelong learner, that idea of self-assessment, self-reflection. This is the main one here. But if you can gather evidence from all of these, like I said, you will have a head start for your interviews, a head start for your post-secondary applications and everything. So keep them in mind. I mean, do I have more to say, really? My blueprint, did you guys use that last year? Probably not, right? myblueprint.ca/SD41 is an online portfolio. So if you want to collect core competency examples or collect your evidence or data that you're doing through your capstone somewhere, this gives a really nice place for you to do that. And we might be using this for the transition plan piece as well, so you'll get familiar with it. So just so that you know. And I'll leave you with this. None of the modules of the transition capstone project are supposed to be extra tedious. They're supposed to make you examine what it is you're interested in and passionate about and give you the skills to know how to pursue those things so that in the future, when you're ready to create your own career, and then stay up to date with it as society changes rapidly, you're able to do that. So that's the whole process of what we're doing, is to develop that, okay? Any questions?
Right.
You guys are free to go, or you can stay and ask questions, whatever you like.